Still trying to fine tune this stuff, man, because we're getting into this podcasty video thingy that we're doing is taking me baby steps. You know what I'm saying?
It is a work in progress, just like our regular channels.
Yeah, which is part of the topic today. Does it have a title or are we just gonna say what it is?
I'll just say what it is. We'll give it a title when we do the thumbnail.
All right, first of all, we got to introduce ourselves to the people. For those of y'all who've been hanging out with us, welcome back, baby. And for those of y'all who are new to the show, welcome to, I was going to say welcome back. Welcome for the first time to Split Decisions.
Split Decisions. That's
My
right.
name is Antoine. That's Jeff. He's always wrong. I'm always right. That's pretty much the gist of the show. Now let's
say
get on
that.
with it.
You say that every podcast. You know they don't believe that. They've listened to some of these podcasts. They've listened.
Whether
and
they
know who's
believe
right.
it or not, that
They know
doesn't
who's right
make
and who's
it
wrong.
untrue.
I'm gonna have a poll. I'm gonna have to put a poll up. I'm gonna have to put a poll up and see who's right and who's wrong most of the time. Oh, gotta lower this. People, spam callers, bro.
All right. So I don't know how to say it like briefly, but basically the job we have as creators on YouTube / social media / anything web related. It's a lot, bro. It's a lot. And this is deep and personal to me because every year around this time, this shit gets me every freaking time. I see it coming. I try to avoid it, but I always get into this like, it's not depression. It's more like
it's close.
Almost.
It's a rut. It's a rut.
It's like a cousin to depression. And it's like anxiety, a little bit of depression with the social media. Oh, dude, you go ahead and talk, man. I can't even articulate what I'm thinking right now.
So I know what you're talking about because I feel it too. I think yours is on a different level because I don't do YouTube full time yet, right? You're doing it full time, but I feel that I hate to call it burnout because there is a level of burnout that comes with, say, doing earbuds all the time or doing whatever all the time, right? The same thing. This, what we're talking about, is more of a, you said anxiety. See, I don't feel anxiety. I feel a bit of, man, it is hard to articulate the word. Like you said, it's not depression, but it's damn close. Like it makes me like just freeze and do nothing. Like I'll think about doing a video and then I'll think about it all day long. I literally think about the video all day long. I'll think about what I got to do, what I want to say, what it's about, but I won't do the video. And that'll go on for shit. It's been in the past 5, 6, 7 days. And I just can't force myself to sit in front of a camera. The hardest part is turning the camera on.
Yeah, because you get going, right?
Once you turn it on, within a couple minutes, you're back into the flow, and all that shit that we're talking about right now goes away. But
somewhat
until you turn the camera off. Until you turn the camera off.
Yeah.
But for that moment, it's normal. But just turning the camera on sometimes is very difficult, man.
Yeah. And I almost had the word for it or the term. I think writers go through this. It's not writer's block. It's something else. It's like a creator's block. I don't know.
I wouldn't even call it a block because you know what the video is going to be about, right? It's more like and it's different than burnout for me anyway.
You know, when it's going to come to me, it's like 2 a.m. when I can't fucking sleep because the shit is happening. I'm like, yeah, I got to tell Jeff. So I'm going to wake you up at 2 a.m. when this shit hits me.
Text, be like, what I'm talking about.
But man, it's because it's so much. And you say, you probably don't have it as bad as I do because you're not full time, but the elements are still there, bro. Like for me, for instance, because you're a solo creator just like me.
Yeah.
So we're responsible for literally everything from like the initial, let me turn my stuff off. From the initial concept of the video, like what are we going to do? Like, is it going to be a speaker, earbud, or whatever? What's going to be our catchy thing about it? The thumbnail, the title, all the stuff that goes into the video when we upload it. Shooting, as far as shooting goes, like the camera angle,
lighting,
ISO, aperture,
audio,
lighting, yes, all that.
So
we got to edit that shit. You know what I mean?
Like you want it to sound and look as best as possible all the time.
Yeah. And then, once you get that production up on YouTube, then there's this other part. It lives on YouTube, right? So now you got to answer a couple of comments, right?
You
But
do.
then when we get into comments, we go into other elements of social media. Like, should I do like an Instagram reel to promote this video or the
Yeah.
product? Or like if I'm doing a reel, it's got to be a TikTok. And do I need a YouTube short? Like there's so many platforms you got to be on in order to be an influencer or creator in order to keep growing. Because let's be honest, man, both of us would have stopped if we weren't seeing any element of progress by way of like likes, views, money, or any level of attention. Because as much as we like doing what we do, we still need some validation that is good, right?
Yeah, of
you know?
course. No, you do. And that comes in many forms. Like you just said, you get the likes, you get the comments, you get the financial part of it. You get companies reaching out to you and just saying, "We love what you're doing here. We want to work with you." Like there's a lot of validation that does go into it, but to get that validation, it's a hell of a lot of work.
It is, man. It really is. And it's getting increasingly daunting. It's been like I said, every year, this time of year, somewhere around, I think it starts with Techtober because so many new things come out.
Yeah,
And
it's
between the it's really when they say Techtober, it's typically just phones, right? But then
mhm.
other stuff starts riding the wave because then we got Black Friday coming up, and then Christmas, and lots of people getting views off of different items in the tech industry. And it's like, all right, where's my video? Which one am I going to do, or how do I participate in this? And it's just like it's so fucking much, and it's like you shut down. You just get to the point where it's
Yeah.
so much. It was at the tip of my tongue, the term. It's like when you're overstimulated, you just shut down, you go backwards.
It's when you
And
have too many
that's
options, right? You have too many options, you don't know which one to choose.
mhm,
There's there's always a level of, I gotta do this again, or I gotta do this again. Because like you, we
mhm,
just talked about, you set up your studio just for the podcast, right? Just so you
mhm.
don't have to break shit. How many times have you moved your studio around?
Well, this is the 3rd time inside of 30 days.
That's what I'm saying, like, and I literally just changed everything behind me real quick, right? Just to
Yeah,
tweak
just right here on camera, yeah.
yes, we're literally we're literally tweaking something all the time. Like, when I'm shooting down here for the podcast, for Bourbon and Blunts, or for this, I have to
Uh-huh,
take a camera from downstairs. I have to set the aperture and the ISO different than I do upstairs in the loft because the lighting is completely different, right? So and
yep.
sometimes I forget to do that, and then I'll get a comment in a video. Why does the video look like this? Like there's always something. It's hard to remember
Dude, and the
everything,
comments
man.
sometimes the comments don't help things.
Eh,
Just when you're feeling low
Yeah,
and dirty down and dirty about yourself, somebody comes and kicks you in the nuts with a comment, man.
yeah. The
It's like,
trolls
"Oh,
are
I
real.
was already down." You know what I mean?
But I will
Oh, man.
say this though, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. When I first started YouTube, I was like, nobody's gonna watch me. Who the hell is gonna watch me on YouTube? And I remember everybody's first 100 videos are trash, right? Trash. And I
Mhm.
literally looked at my first video maybe about 2 weeks ago. It is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It's the worst damn thing. And I remember I was trying to hype myself because I'm a very low monotone kind of person, right? And I
Yeah.
remember about to shoot that video, and I was nervous, of course, first video, and I'm like, you got to show some energy. You gotta be up. You know what I mean? You got to show like you got this
Yeah.
presence. Man, it was.
Uh-huh.
I didn't change my tone one time in the video. I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just looked at the camera and I spoke in like a
Okay.
very low. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. But the
That's
comments,
funny.
going back to that, the comments come and they kind of help push you through it, right? Because all
Yep.
right, we got the trolls. That's like 1%. Not even 1% are trolls. Right? 99% of the comments you get, just like I get, are very good comments. I mean, I get the occasional "you look like a stoner," you know what I mean, like those things, but
Yeah.
a lot of the comment, like I had a girl comment on my page or one of my videos the other day, and she was like, "Is it me or do I want to see him do the rest of the video with his shirt off?" Like there's always these like weird
Oh,
comments.
snap.
Yeah, so there's some kind of cool
Yeah.
comments here and there that just kind of push you, or just somebody saying, "Thank you, bro. I needed this."
Yeah.
Like that kind
That's
of
true.
that,
Those
yeah.
those are the reason why the channel is alive today. I'll be honest with you, because if it weren't for them people rooting me on, I'd have quit.
Yeah, man. Yeah. If it was 99% the other way, like what if it was 99% trolls and 1% good
Dude, I would have
comments?
quit after like the second video.
Yeah, it would be
Like,
difficult.
okay, I probably would have made it back to maybe 10 videos at this point, but I still would have quit a very, very long time ago. So I'm appreciative of the people that have ridden with me, you know, even if they're gone now, the fact that they rode with me as long as they did, like I appreciate that because that's what kept me going through the different stages. And like I said again, this time of year, it's still those comments that come that
Yeah.
keep me going into the next year.
Now, I
So
also
yeah,
want to
man, if you're
stress,
watching, leave a good comment.
yes, good comments are noticed and appreciated all the time. But I do want to stress, like, this is a choice, right? We are choosing to do YouTube, right? Like
Right.
it's still a choice, and we are in a good position when you compare the numbers of how many YouTube channels there are to how many are making money and a little successful. So we are in a good position that way, but it's just a lot of work involved, man, when you're a one-man show.
It really is. But to me, it's no different. I look at it as no different than any other career. People
Mhm.
who don't do it typically don't respect it as much and don't look at it as any other career. Like,
That's a
let's say
good
I
point.
always default to machine shop because I used to be a machinist. So, you got your machinist sitting at the shop, you know what I'm saying? He might be on break, sitting on the shitter watching the video. He's thinking, I got to go back to this job. I'm gonna smell like freaking, whatever, and have to do this job that pays well. I just don't like it. While this guy gets to play with cool gadgets and shit. Fuck him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I'm sure that happens all the time.
yeah. And it's almost like when I was a machinist, we all would look at the dudes that were walking around in khakis and flannel, or not flannel, but
Yeah.
like, the plaid shirts, thinking they don't
Yep.
fucking work in the office. Until
Yep.
I
Yep.
got into the office and started working, I was like, damn, this shit is awful. I'd rather
It's
go
just
back
a
to the machine.
Yeah, it's just a different type of work, right? It's just a different type of work. That's it. Still work.
Yeah. Work is work, bruh. It's
It
sometimes
is.
what looks to be the easiest work is actually the hardest work. And I learned that the hard way when I went from being a machinist to the salesperson who wore the khakis. I was like, man, like
Yeah.
be careful
Yeah.
what you ask for, man. And like,
Yeah.
in a career like mine or ours, it's like, yeah, if you don't work, you don't eat, right? It's like any typical sales is, if you want to put it in that kind of category.
Yeah.
But it's still a little bit different. But you also have to, like, every single day, no one comes up and says, hey, this is how you do, this is what you do. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have it laid out. You have to come up with that stuff. And that's part of that. We have to do everything. Like, if I actually worked at, let's say McDonald's, I go into McDonald's, there are burgers waiting for me to flip them. You know what I'm
Yeah, you
saying?
have
I
help.
gotta
You have
wrap
help.
them.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have help. Yeah. You
Yeah,
don't
man.
physically have to do imagine if you were the only one in McDonald's and you had to go and do everything while people are trying to
Yeah,
order.
let me tell you something. The Yelp reviews would be they'd they'd be something to look at. Let me tell you.
Yeah. But I mean, it
The
is.
worst
It's
freaking McDonald's in the city.
you're running your
Oh,
own
man.
business is what you're doing. From top to bottom, you are running your own
Yeah.
business.
True,
And
man.
yeah. I love it though. I love it. As
But
much
it's
as
fun. I
we
wouldn't trade it. The reason
Mhm.
why Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What were we saying? Well, I'm just saying, as much as we are here talking about how difficult it is at sometimes and how challenging it is, it's very mentally challenging as well as it is physically challenging, or technically challenging, whatever, however you want to put it. I still wouldn't go back to what I was doing prior to this, which was still running my own business.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
wouldn't go back to that. I love what I do. And it sounds crazy when people say, it sounds crazy to me when people say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. I think that's a goddamn lie. I feel like work is work. Okay. It just is what it is, but not so bad if you actually like it. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
not so bad. It's not so
It's
bad.
not
If you
so
like it,
bad.
it's still work. It's still work. Like there are days where you don't
Yeah.
want to do some of this stuff, but you got to bring in that money. You got to bring in that bread. So you're up, you're doing it, and it's sometimes I'm like you. Like I love it. Absolutely love it. We're sitting here talking about how hard it is sometimes, but I absolutely love it. I'm trying to get to the next level because this right here, what you're watching is my retirement from my screen print shop. This
Okay.
on YouTube will allow
I'm
me.
looking at the time here. I'm looking at the time here. We're at 16 minutes, but I've been meaning to ask you, what is the next level for you? What does this podcast look like for you? And what does your channel look like for you? Like, what is the long-term game plan for this? Like, what do you see or what do you want from all of this? And is it one thing or are they compartments like podcast, YouTube
No,
channel? What?
yeah, I want separate pockets. Like I want the Digital Slang channel
Okay.
to we've talked about this on previous podcasts. So the Digital Slang channel is niching down. Right? It's going to niche down into a lot of phones. 99% of the
Okay.
stuff on there is going to be cell phones. Slangcast is coming back. That's going to be earbuds, headphones, all the other tech that I want to play with. The podcast is there. Like this for us, for me, I'm talking to my boy. We're having fun. We're talking about shit we love. Like, so the podcast is not only fun for me, it's an outlet. Like it's an outlet to get away, to still do YouTube, but just to have fun, like not feel pressured by a review or not feel like, you know what I mean? Like these are just outlets that are fun for me. I've always wanted to do radio. I've always wanted to be on a podcast or radio. And this is fulfilling that dream. Does it make sense?
Ain't that cool
So
where we're at now with this?
yeah,
Like, I appreciate
yeah,
everything you just said about what you want things to be, but isn't this freaking cool that you said you've always wanted to be in radio, right? What
yeah.
was it? Probably 10 years ago, you probably couldn't be in radio. I know you said you had some opportunities, but typically the
I
average
try. Yeah,
person
I
cannot
tried.
be in radio
I
or
tried.
cannot be
Yeah,
in acting. Like
yeah,
comedians.
yeah.
Yeah, like even comedians, like, the comedians, they would have to go to a club and perform and see how they could work their way into something bigger, right? To become a known comedian. Nope. Get your ass on Facebook or Instagram and do
Yeah.
your comedy, right? And people will follow you.
That's
And
what's
for
amazing
us,
about
you
this.
wanting to be on radio. You're not on radio, bro, but you got 2 podcasts.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It's true. And I'm using all this stuff
That's some
that I
cool
would
shit.
want on radio, right? Like, and come on.
Yeah.
Remember during COVID when nobody could go to work. And I'm talking about professional newscasters, professional people that are in that kind of field. Did you see how shitty their
Yeah.
home podcasts and they were terrible. Their audio sounded trash. Like we're blowing that shit out the water, bro.
Yep.
Blowing it out the
In the
water. I
background,
love
we
it.
were killing it, and we were
Killing
already set up for it. And now look what everything's moving to these days.
it. Yeah, home.
Yep. Man, YouTube is definitely a blessing. I can't call it a blessing and a curse. It's a 100% blessing, but not every blessing comes with its things. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
things. You just gotta
You
learn
gotta
how to call those
put in the work.
audibles and maneuver through it.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
put in the
man,
work
definitely gotta put
because
in the work.
there are people on YouTube that make it look easy, but it's not easy all the time. But it is a hell of a lot of fun sometimes. And if you want to start a YouTube channel, go start that shit.
Hey, man, with that being said, you want to go ahead and call it? Move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's call it. Wrap it
Want to
up.
go across the street and have the next conversation? That's
Yeah,
what we
man,
do here. We chop them down to like 15 minutes or so, and then we go across the street, start up a new one, so you guys can watch.
That's true. We'll be right back.
Oh,
Actually, right back.
all right, right back.
Peace.